John Beethan from Alternative Health Tools, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with Dr. Leslie Kasanoff, and she and I met also at a virtual networking group at Mary Kravitz, and we were actually in a workshop together. And over a period of time, we gotten to know each other. And working with Alternative Health Tools myself and health and wellness for a long time, I recognized that Leslie has something that's very, very valuable to a whole lot of people. So I wanted to welcome you.
Thanks.
So you have a series of workshops coming up, I know, and I wanted to talk about that because I've kind of walked that talk before a little bit, but I wanted to give people an opportunity to actually consider really taking this workshop. I think it might be really good. So I'm going to share the screen for the landing page so people recognize it.
Great.
And then let's have a little chat. I first want to know how you got involved in health.
Oh, God. Well, it all began, my first career was actually as a medical lab tech.
Uh-huh.
And shortly before graduation from that 5-year program, one of the very last things I had to do in my internship was to assist at the bedside during a bone marrow biopsy.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and and the woman who was having this bone marrow biopsy was this little old lady who, to my then 22-year-old eyes, looked like she was 110.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was just the most horrendous thing I have ever been through in my entire life, John.
Mm.
And I mean, just blood curdling screams that just like sucked all the energy out of the room. It was just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out of that room, so finally he gets the sample, he hands it to me. I make the microscope slides and bring the slides and the sample back to the lab. I hand it to the senior tech and I tell her the story. And she looks at me with sad eyes and she says, "But Leslie, they don't even treat leukemia in patients that old."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was floored. It was like just the thought that I had contributed to that. It was like instantaneously the light bulb went on, and I knew that I would never be able to make an effective change in that kind of a system, in the position that I was in, or in a position that I could ever hope to grow into from there.
And
So
you're talking about helping people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so basically, that was the day that I dedicated my life to doing whatever I could to keep people from ever having to get into that hospital bed in the first place. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I saw really was that the system cared more about naming the disease than they did about the person that had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
So
that's
for and
basic.
so for you and so for you briefly, you've had your own journey to wellness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so then I also, so I went along, fast forward, I went along and I became a chiropractor and I
Oh,
worked and I had my own basically holistic chiropractic practice for about 25 years. And I had my
uh-huh.
own health challenges in there too.
Yeah.
And that's what has kind of brought me into full circle with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the program Journey to Wellness because I know this is but it's 8 weeks, is that right?
It's 8 sessions. It's
Or
every
excuse
other
me,
week.
sessions.
Yeah,
Oh,
8 sessions. So it's actually over the course of 16 weeks.
actually, that's excellent because it
Yeah,
takes a while to get into the rhythm rather than
exactly.
these workshops where, okay, here's everything in a couple hours and then you kind of are left to fend for yourself. And I understand you're going to be offering a lot of great support for those people, right?
Well, that's the plan.
That's good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So, I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna share the screen again,
Okay,
just because I really want to talk about it, and we'll probably flip around a little bit to, I might even flip around to your website a little bit
okay.
if it will let me. Well, this is interesting. I think I'm going to have to stop sharing. But, fundamentally, what do you think, what will people actually, what will they get from um, going through the workshop? And also the other thing is who is it for? And I know that you're most likely to say anybody, but um, it's really people that are seeking better health, but maybe have some conditions that are just, they're maybe perplexed about, right? We're
Right.
talking alternative health, really, right?
Right. We're talking alternative health to some extent. I don't use a lot of supplements or herbs. I basically take a whole food, mainly plant-centered approach.
Hmm.
So getting people onto a good diet, and then usually they do need some probiotics. They may need some supplementation in the beginning, but basically my concept is that your body was designed for whole food,
Uh-huh.
and you should be able to, you may need the supplements in the beginning to get you over the hump, to start to get your body to metabolize things the way that it should, but then you should be able to maintain it with basically whole food.
Uh-huh. So I've
Yeah.
studied quite a bit about gut health.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes. We're talking about gut health, and we're talking about the relationship between gut health and hormonal health and all that. Yeah.
I'm really interested in hormonal health too, because you and I had a conversation before, and I said I'm quite sure this is not just for women. This could also be for men as well, because a man or a woman, we all have hormones, right?
Exactly. And the thing of it is that what we don't realize, John, is that a lot of the things that are in our everyday lives are
Uh-huh.
affecting our hormones adversely.
Uh-huh.
So all the plastics that we store our food in most of them have estrogenic activity.
Uh-huh.
And many pesticides have estrogenic activity. And so there's a whole slew of those things, and then you add to that the fact that we have literally tripled the amount of cheese that we eat per capita in this
Cheese.
country in the
Yeah.
past 30 years, and
Uh-huh.
that all has estrogenic activity. So
Yeah.
what's happening is that the estrogen levels are going up and up and up and up, and
Uh-huh.
that's not good for any of us. And estrogen is, when the concentrations are too high, or when it's not appropriate, as in, a guy having high estrogen levels,
Hmm.
it is pro cancer, it is pro inflammatory, and so yeah, and it helps, and it keeps the weight on, and you get
Yeah.
into this vicious circle with the weight and the estrogen, because once you one of the things about fat cells is that fat cells actually make a substance called aromatase that converts testosterone and other hormones into estrogen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back to the page a little bit. I got my screen share thing working, I think. So you can see this okay?
Uh-huh.
Good. Nice picture of you. And I like
Yeah,
your
that's
color palette a lot. It speaks a lot
thanks.
about you.
That
So
actually
these are,
has a short video behind it, but yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
I did see it. I did see it. So this is kind of what's included in the workshop you're going to be doing. So um,
Right.
weight loss, hormone balance, assisted pantry clean out over Zoom. I love this. So,
I don't know
and I,
where I
and
came up with that idea, but it's been fun.
well, it wasn't too, it was about a year ago. I was working with this woman, Laura Rimmer, and her thing was keto alkaline diet. So
Uh-huh.
she sent out this list of foods and stuff that were perfect for the diet. And I
Uh-huh.
looked at it and realized I could do all of this. I loved all of that. So what I did was I completely cleaned out my pantry, so to speak, and
Uh-huh.
my refrigerator, and then just went shopping for the stuff that I needed. And it was just like, that's such a great place to start.
Yeah,
You've got
exactly.
recipes too?
I do have recipes. There's actually a booklet that they get. There's actually a little jumpstart booklet that they get that has a few main course recipes and a bunch of smoothie recipes and a few other recipes in it, along with the basics of how to do the pantry clean out.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also see you're going to be bringing some other people in about talking about detoxing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big,
that's good.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good. So what do people typically talk about when they've gone through any kind of working with you? And
Well, just the ability to be able to get things back under control. So often in life, we just kind of put one foot in front of the other and we forget about taking that step
yeah,
back
yeah,
and just really, really being able to be more proactive with their health.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
here's what I know to be true is that the body is incredibly resilient. And you can get
exactly.
away with a lot of abuse or whatever, even though if it's not intended abuse, but stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
not good for you. And then there's comes a point in your life, generally as you get older, where the body kind of goes, I've had enough.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so what you're trying to do, I'm imagining, is try to like, come on, we can have a much more vibrant life. We just need to make some shifts and changes. And
Exactly. I
yeah,
was thinking about this morning. I think I mentioned to you earlier that I was out for a bicycle ride this morning. And so I do
nice.
a lot of my thinking and sorting, when I'm
Yeah,
riding.
yeah,
And one of the things that it's like this succinct definition of wellness,
yeah,
in my eyes, is just the ability at any age to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So, for example, I got up and I rode my bicycle 30 miles up and down 3,000 feet worth of climbing, before we got on this interview.
yeah.
And I did that knowing that it was a good workout and I was going to be tired, but I wasn't going to be too spent to do this.
That's
you know
great.
so that's so it's that kind of thing. It's like the ability to be able to do what you want to do at any stage in your life. To me,
Uh-huh.
that's what wellness is all about, and
Yeah.
in the physical sense.
No, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
And to
great.
help people be able to attain that and then keep that is kind of what I've been put here for.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So I know that you know that. So I'm going to share your homepage screen.
Okay.
So what's the best way for people to enroll in the program?
Probably just directly through that other page that you had. There is a button at the bottom. Or if they have questions, there is down at the bottom of this page,
Uh-huh.
there's right here, a
Yep.
complimentary consultation. So if they feel that that's an appropriate next step before they decide if this is right for them, that's
Okay.
great. I'm happy to do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Anything else you want to talk about? I
Um,
mean, you've said a lot of things that give
yeah.
me just, reason to share this with some people I know that could stand some help.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
I think the big thing for me is just being able to take people, one of the things that's going on with this whole COVID-19 thing
uh,
is that we've found that our chronic illnesses that are so rampant in this country
right.
have become almost like an acute liability.
Hmm.
So diabetes, overweight and obesity, asthma, high blood pressure, things of that nature. Those are all the kinds of conditions that are making COVID-19 worse for the people that are having more serious cases.
Yeah, because and like I think we've discovered that younger people, they certainly can catch it, but they may not, they may be asymptomatic, right? So,
Right. Yeah. And
yeah,
there's always the exception. you know,
Sure.
and the media loves to jump on the exception. Oh, this 27-year-old that didn't have any other, pre-existing conditions died,
Right.
but that happens with the flu too, you know.
Yeah.
The thing that we do know is that the vast, vast, vast majority of the people that are coming down with serious cases do have one of about 5 different presenting symptoms,
Hmm.
underlying diseases.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and all of those diseases are all treatable and reversible with diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
yeah.
It really has become the fundamental diet and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I really do put a quality of life somewhat ahead of a standard of living. Not that you
Mm-hmm.
can't have both,
Right.
but there's a lot of people running around, just not really taking care of themselves, both mentally
Exactly.
and physically.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really appreciate what you're doing. So I'm going to do whatever I can to get this out as well.
I appreciate that, John.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for being here.